Hey everyone, we're here at Paula Landine's house. We're about to do a charity giveaway. She's been going through a lot. She's a super value customer and we're excited to give her something. So we're gonna take you to the door and you're gonna give her this with us. All right, you think she's home? I hope so. All right, we've got this awesome 21X Elite and a Quilter's Evolution frame, 10 foot. It's got the rolling rails. It's gonna be super cool. She's getting an upgrade from her current 21 Pro that she has and Continuum frame. So let's see. Hopefully they answer. Hi, is Paula home? How's it going, Paula? We're with the Grace Company, and we've got a little surprise for you, so I don't know if you wanted to come out here and see, but we're actually gifting you a frame and machine. So we know you've been going through a lot recently, but you're a valued customer of ours, and you've been quilting and giving love to the world for so long that we want to give it back. And so we've got you a 21X Elite and a Quilter's Evolution 10-foot frame. And so just thank you for everything, and we're glad, and hopefully it helps with your recovery.
Thank you.
And just keep sharing that love. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I just love my Grace. I just
Awesome.
love it. It's brought me a lot of great joy.
Well,
When I found out about the new frame and machine, I was completely taken by surprise. I had done a lot of research and had been thinking about upgrading from what I had before, but it just wasn't a possibility at the time. And then I had the health issues that I had, and had decided that that was just a dream that I'd have to think about for a while. And when Grace showed up with that, it was really amazing. Such a wonderful thing to do. I've been quilting for most of my life. I started when I was very small, and anytime anyone would get married or have a baby or have an event in their life, we'd all get together and tie them a quilt. So that's when I really got started. I think my grandmother was probably the first one and the biggest inspiration I had. She passed away when I was very young, but I still have memories of her quilting. So I don't know a lot about her because I was so young when she passed away, but I do remember sitting under the quilt when she was quilting and playing with the fabrics and laying on the quilts when they were done. And it just gives me a connection to her that I wouldn't normally have. Right now I quilt with, my children will come and say, hey, could you do something like this? Or we'll go to a fabric store together and they'll find a fabric that they like, and then we look for patterns that they like and create it together, and I do that with my grandchildren too. Up until I retired, I was a summertime quilter because I just didn't have time during the school year to quilt. I would teach all day and grade papers all night, and I just didn't have time for that. But summer was the time that I could sew and rejuvenate myself that way. And I just found that with Grace, they would help me remember what I had forgotten during the off time of sewing, and then help me move one more step along in my journey to learn the skill of working on quilts. And they've been really a wonderful company to work with, and they stand behind their stuff, and I really appreciate that. Now that I have this new upgrade, I'm really excited to expand my skill set and learn how to use more of the features that are in it. There are so many wonderful things that you can do with this new machine, and I'd like to learn how to do that, take some classes and and practice and learn to be better at what I'm doing and create some really beautiful pieces. When I was looking at sewing machines, I chose Grace because of several things. First of all, it had a really good reputation. The support that I felt just in doing the research, they were never too busy to answer questions. They were always very kind and helpful when I would go in. If I had any question anytime at all, they were really wonderful about it. They've helped with upgrades that they didn't have to do, but did, just to help me out. Other companies were not that way. It was just about selling the machine, and I didn't feel that with Grace. I felt supported, and I felt like they were really invested in me having a good experience. They were so helpful when I was first looking at machines. People were kind, and they allowed me to try things out and were very supportive in my inexperience in the machine. They've been supportive all the way through. Just make sure that you do some research, and I would suggest you get the very best you can possibly get. Don't get a lower model just because it's cheaper, because it's quite an investment, but it's well worth the investment. The experience I've had so far using this new machine has been wonderful. It's so much easier to use than anything I've been on before, and it really supports the novice user and someone who's not really experienced, but it makes it a very pleasant, fun experience to have. I follow them all the time, and I follow some different quilting things on social media, but I always come back to Grace if I have questions, and I just like their product. I've never had any trouble with anything, and they've just been wonderful to work with. The reason I started quilting was I needed an outlet for stress relief and a way to be creative, but I felt like I wasn't very artistic, but I could look at fabrics and see how they would go together and complement each other, and I found that was really relaxing for me, and it helped me during stressful times. And I had fun making something out of a flat piece of material. It's just a way of expressing myself and showing interest in other people and in their hobbies and their interests, and creating something that they can wrap up in and keep warm in, or have a picnic on, or sit on and make a bench more comfortable. So it provides that emotional release for me and stress relief when I sew. When I'm trying to decide on colors or designs in the quilts that I do, I try to think of the person that I'm making it for. I look for fabrics that make me think of that person, colors that I know that they like, colors that complement things, and then I try to take all those things and put them together. It depends on who I'm giving it to and what it's for that determines the themes or the colors or the patterns that I use when I quilt. If they live in a certain place and I find fabrics that remind me of that place, then it kind of inspires me to put a quilt together. If they have a hobby that they have that I find a fabric that I think would go with, I'm able to create something that shows that I recognize that that's important in their life, and that I want them to know that I think it's important too. I usually make quilts for people I care about, family and friends and acquaintances that are important or have impacted me, and it's a way to say thank you for something that they've done that's particularly special to me, or a way to let them know how important they are in my life or how they have affected me. Some of the favorite quilts that I've made are, I took my grandfather's ties after he passed away and I made quilts out of the ties, and I made one for my dad and one for each of my siblings, and so they each have some of Grandpa's ties that he wore when he was here with us. And I have some grandchildren in Alaska, and I made a quilt where the blocks are the little boots that they wear up there, and that was really fun to make. I have also made one out of my mother-in-law's clothes after she passed away, and that was fun. While I'm quilting a quilt, I get excited as I see it come together, and when I take it off the frame, it's really fun to see it when it's laid out. I like to bind the quilts by hand because I think it finishes them a little nicer, and as I take that last stitch on the binding and see that it's all done, I get really excited. There's something about wrapping up and keeping warm in something that's been created especially for you by someone important in your life. And most people, although they don't really understand the time it takes to do a quilt, they do understand that it takes a lot of effort. And there's just something about knowing someone cares enough to do something like that for you. And it's a reminder of that person when they're not around.
You know, just relax, just make sure you enjoy, and it helps you recover. That's awesome. I love it.
It's great.
How long do you think that takes you to do, just out of curiosity?
The quilting took about 4 hours,
Wow.
and then I always hand bind them. The
Really?
piecing took quite a bit longer.
Wow.
Even
That's
I've
awesome.
used her machine. I made his quilt for him
Really?
on her machine.
Well, that'll be awesome. And that was the other thing with this. Feel free to give that one to a family member, keep it, whatever you want to do. We don't have to like trade it out or anything. So it's just all new to you.
This is so awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We're so excited to see what you do with it. And hopefully it does help you recover. Don't push it too much, and
It
make
will.
sure you actually
I
recover.
will
But thank you so much.
definitely up my game.
That'll be very fun. Very cool to see. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.